What's up, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. So, in this video, we're going to go over kind of updates on immigration status, like stuff that's happening with ICE and the raids and arrests and stuff like that. And I'm going to break down some figures and numbers and talk about what's really happening as far as where they're being deported or where they're being sent, um, and it's as far as I can see and tell, to try to get as accurate and kind of see the picture for what it is instead of just constantly, you're oftentimes hearing, oh, they're being sent here and they're being sent there, and while they have at points, that it's not necessarily happening right now. So where are they really going? So if you're new here, welcome. If you are returning, you're amazing. Thank you, and welcome back. And let's get to talking here. Okay, so the latest that we know is that, like, last week, the Trump administration had kind of put a pause on, because previously, ICE raids and stuff had been accepted to be done on farms and hotels and restaurants and stuff like that, places that previously were kind of a no-go, as far as, because for the most part, I mean, these are like areas that could highly affect the economy, and you could have, huge effects on, products and stuff being sent and whatnot, if you're, just doing mass arrests and things on these locations and whatnot. The effects that it could have, so they were kind of a no-go. But under this administration, they had pushed for, they've, constantly increased, like, the daily quotas that they've been placed on. And so they've been starting to attack all kinds of places in order to hit these numbers. That was kind of the push. Well, they had put a pause on those locations because the administration was getting reports and concerns and fears from, companies and individuals and things, owners of these establishments, different farms and stuff, hotels and whatnot. The repercussions of these individuals being arrested and taken, and, of all accounts, these are, uh, non-violent. They're, no criminal record. They contribute to society just like we all do. They've been here, a lot of them, for many years. So, like, the argument is, like, why are we grabbing these people? Like, they are more or less, contributing just like everybody else is, and they, in most cases, are really just a victim of the system that is set up, that they have not, if they don't have status yet, that's because of, our backed up system or whatever. But this past weekend, that pause was basically removed, and it's been reinstated to, raid farms and everything. And so this is already having a major effect on some areas and places. I have a video. This was actually from Fox News, uh, and talking to a Texas farmer, where, almost 100% of his employees are not showing up due to the policies that are in place. So let me swap over here. All right, I'm gonna play this for you.
Homeland Security with a new comment now about President Trump's deportation policies, telling Fox News, quote, there will be no safe spaces for industries who harbor violent criminals or purposely try to undermine ICE's efforts. That after the president said this last week.
Farmers are being hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't do that to our farmers, and leisure too, hotels. We're going to have to use a lot of common sense on that.
So the New York
Common
Times
sense, he
reporting
says.
that the president made that comment, quote, after Brooke Rollins, the Secretary of Agriculture, informed him of farmers who were concerned about the ICE enforcement affecting their businesses. The Times adding, Mr. Trump has for decades owned luxury hotels, an industry of a strong immigrant labor force. So obviously, this raises questions about how the policy is going to work, what the priority is going to be. And obviously, there's a lot of businesses across the country that have these same kinds of concerns. So with that, we bring in Nick Billman, owner of Red River Farms in Texas, who says 100% of his workers are afraid to show up for work. Nick, thank you very much for taking time out of your workday to talk with us about this. You hear what the president is saying now about farm workers and hotel workers, that he wants there to be a little bit more grace in those areas. What have you seen happening?
We're seeing almost 100% of no one showing up. I mean, there's a lot of fear out there right now. Even people that are here legally, they're fearing that they're going to be rounded up with everyone that's here illegally, and there's no due process for them. I mean, the stories are out there, so they're just not showing up out of fear.
And have they seen that happen to other people in the farming industry, or is it just something that they're afraid of?
I don't know that anybody's seen it. I haven't seen people that are here legally, but the media, certain media outlets are spinning it that way. Social media is going crazy over it. So they're just, again, they're living in fear right now.
So what would be your response to President Trump saying that he recognizes that there are industries where some people have been working for decades in some cases, and that they might not have the right documents or the right papers, but they're not criminals who came in over the border in the last few years?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people caught in that. There's a lot of great people caught in that. They can't afford it. Yeah. The biggest thing right now is people trying to pay attorneys to get paperwork done correctly. But for our administration, I mean, really just come down and talk to the farmers, talk to the businesses that are hiring people full time for these jobs, and let's get something put together, you know, come in to the field, so to speak, and see what's going on.
I hear you. Just a couple seconds here. What happens to your work? What happens to your farm when nobody shows up for work?
We feel it. So my family's hands-on. We do everything that we request of any employee that works for us. We just need more hands. Yeah. In order to get seasons done and harvests done, it takes a lot of hands all at once. So why even plant if we don't have anybody to help us harvest?
Nick Billman, Red River Farms owner, thank you. Great to hear from you personally.
I mean, this is the type of thing we're talking about here, where the effects that stuff like this happens, and, you know, where you even have legal people concerned because, you know, and he stated that, you know, he hasn't seen anything like that, and the media is you know, spinning it that way. Well, they're spinning it that way because there actually has been citizens arrested. I mean, you know, this open out there that, you know, citizens have been arrested for, you know, just suspicion or whatever the case, and there's even been some citizens deported. So this is not a spin when actually, you know, it is reality of what has happened. Even if it is small, that still is a concern for people. And so even those who, you know, and completely legitimate for people who are even legal, if especially like she stated, you know, the concern that they may not even have the legal documentation to prove on them, that they would be, you know, detained or whatever, for even if it's for, you know, a few days or a week or whatever the case. You know, they don't want to be subject to that, because that's just going to hurt them personally or whatever, you know. So this is an effect that's you know, being had, you know, all across the country, and it's the kind of thing that, you know, it started the riots in LA and everything else. But yeah, ICE just raiding places and stuff, taking people that, you know, otherwise are perfectly, you know, civil, and, you know, contribute to society just like we all do. And that's the problem. And the reason why these kinds of things are happening is because of the quota surge that they have increased. There's like, because previously it was like 1,500 people. Now the administration is asking ICE to arrest upwards of 3,000 people, although they have not hit that number yet. That's what they are trying to target. Okay. The largest enforcement so far has been around 2,300 arrests in one day. That's and overall, so far as of early June, total ICE arrests for the Trump's second term has been around 100,000. And the over 2,000 mark is becoming kind of a common here recently. So they're targeting as many as they can, but that targeting is causing them to arrest people that they otherwise probably wouldn't arrest. You know what I mean? Because they're being forced and pushed to just arrest as many as they possibly can. And that's including them, finding people outside of courtrooms and everything. All the stories we've heard, which is causing a lot of pushback across the country on a lot of civil unrests and everything. But I got to thinking, where are these people being placed? Where are they going? Because we previously heard that they were, or the fears of going to CCOT, like Garcia and several others that were sent to CCOT. There's been talk about being sent to other facilities like in Sudan, or Guantanamo Bay is constantly being thrown up by the president. So where are they going, and what's happening? There. As far as CCOT is concerned, the 3 original flights that have happened are the only flights that have actually went to CCOT. There hasn't been any since because of judicial pushback and constraints and stuff that have been put on the administration to actually send anybody. And then the Sudan, there's only been one flight that was attempted to go to Sudan, and that was in May, but that flight did not reach Sudan, South Sudan. It actually was stopped in Djibouti, I think that's how you say that. And it was like only 8 individuals. They were being detained there until proceeding pending legal hearings and stuff because of a judge that was ruled that the Trump administration violated court order to keep them from a court order that was to prevent them from being sent, and they sent them anyways, just like they did with CCOT. And then as far as Guantanamo Bay is concerned, there has been I think a total of 13 flights roughly were sent through, I think, Guantanamo Bay. But all the people that have been sent through Guantanamo Bay were like temporary status stuff. They were sent there and then moved on. There was a group from where was it? I think Venezuelans. Yeah, that were sent there initially. Honduras and Venezuela have sent there initially and then sent on. There's roughly around 178 or so of those. There has been apparently no more than or fewer than 400 people that were sent through Guantanamo. So Guantanamo has been basically just used as a pass through. They've sent there temporarily and then either brought back to the mainland or were sent on somewhere else. So yes, the threats were there from the administration, but because of pushback judicially and whatnot, which has mainly been the pushback that has happened on the administration, that has kept them from doing a whole lot on sending them to alternate locations or whatnot. So okay, if that's the case, then these 2,000 arrests, where in the world are they going? Well, they're going to our local, detention centers all across the United States. So, crazy enough, we have one right here in Mississippi in Natchez that's one of the largest facilities ICE has, and it currently is averaging around a little over 2,000 detainees per day. But there's locations all across the South, particularly throughout Texas, Georgia, and a lot of other states, Louisiana, that have privately owned prisons and stuff that are holding detainees, most of which are overcrowded. And there's a lot of concerns for humanitarian issues, health issues and stuff because of overcrowding, which is something that's, we already have issues with overcrowding prisons as it is. And then we're just on top of that, throwing all these additional arrests because typically that's not how many this amount of arrest on immigrants is just not typical. When the average, let's just, what was the average previously to this? Well, during the Biden administration, it was around 700, I want to say 769 or so. I have it down here somewhere. Yes. Biden, it was 759. During the peak of Obama years, it was 636 per day. So, and previous to this, the highest day as far as the current Trump thing, term here was a little over 1,000. That was in January. And that kind of fluctuated down through February, but now, and it's been little by little being bumped up because of the argument and that they weren't actually doing any mass deporting, then of course there's a lot of judicial pushback and stuff, but now they're pushing more and more, arguing for higher and higher arrest to be made. So now we're upwards of to 2,000 per day, and these are being just sent to ICE local prisons and ICE facility detention centers across it. So we're just constantly at what point are we going to get so overcrowded, because even the deportations is not adding up to the arrests. I think we're averaging around maybe 1,000, a little over 1,000 deportations a day. So that's, if we can't keep up with arrests, then eventually we're going to be overcrowding, severely overcrowding all these detention centers. Which I think is why, they've been pushing and pushing and pushing for locations like Guantanamo or whatever to hold, people to be used as a holding grounds. But it's just not applicable for these people for this type of, practice to be held and be consistent. And then on top of the fact that a lot of this is not, they're not getting due process screenings or anything like that, and these are just perfectly, most of these are, good societal contributing individuals that, are not hurting anybody. And eventually we're going to start seeing if this process continues, we're going to start seeing the reverberable issues in our own goods and stuff, fewer and fewer availability or cost increases on products or whatever, because the farms and stuff are not able to keep up as they normally would, because they have fewer workers and stuff. So, I mean, and like the guy in the video even stated, why would we even plant if we don't have the workers, to harvest it? So you're going to wind up having some, farms maybe even, pull back on the amount of stuff that they plant, because you're trying to control and regulate what the workers they have with what they're planting or whatever the case. It's just going to result in fewer and fewer products out there to be, purchased or to be delivered. Now, how much effect will it make? I mean, I guess that's like to be seen because it's not something that will immediately affect. But in the, if this continues, I would think within the, coming months, 2, 3, 4 months down the road, we might start to see this reason why people, the market's concerned about prices going up, and inflation and everything else, because these type of tactics, especially to this extreme, and tactics that are being used that we normally wouldn't, and industries that we normally wouldn't be affecting, we are affecting. It's just going to cause more and more problems. So, and real quickly, I guess I'll update on Garcia, since we were talking about him. Garcia had the 13th was his, or like the initial arraignment, and he pled not guilty to the counts, this human smuggling accounts and stuff. But right now he's being basically still held in detention until bail decision is being made. They're, looking at discovery and stuff like that. His lawyers were requesting to seek sanctions against the government for withholding essential documentation relating to his deportation. That was filed earlier this past week. But the federal prosecutors are trying to kind of throw that stuff out, having it try to have it dismissed because he, is back in the United States. So they're saying that it doesn't matter. They're trying to say that it's mute and have it dismissed. So all these kinds of efforts are being made. But right now it's sort of in, just being in, it's kind of on a pause until all these, the judges is supposed to make some type of decision, by the end of this month. I believe. And, so we're going to have to wait and see what comes out from that. And, when trial date will be set and all that stuff. So, that's pretty much all that's really going on there. Not a whole lot to speak about, but I just wanted to give a quick update on that. So we are having, uptick on arrests, but deportations are not exactly staying in line with that. So overcrowding is continuing to get worse. The threat of, third world death camp type stuff or whatever is right now at bay, thankfully due to judges holding that back. So that's the reason why, or it's part of the reason why you have all this in the media now, this dealing with the war and stuff like that. It's, kind of overshadows all of this. Not that it is less important or any of it's less important, but it's just good to try to keep up. It's hard to keep up, but we're trying to keep up with all these different things as, continued chaos seems to be the news of every day. So thank you very much. Let me know what you think of about the deportation stuff, about the arrests. Whether you think it's to what degree you think it's unlawful. I mean, if these were all if these were precise arrests, like I've said before, if these were precise arrests of people who were known to be criminals or known to, be causing some type of a problem, then sure. But when we're arresting just perfectly good citizens that are trying their best to contribute to society, contributing to the economy, working and are lawful, I mean, what are we doing, D? What are we doing here? Thank you very much. And till next time, peace. Clear Talk. I'm out.